There exists a kind of love that does not follow ordinary rules. It is not the romance we often see in movies, nor the type of relationship that society expects people to have. Instead, it is a love that awakens something deep within you, something that stirs inner structures you may not even realize exist. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists in history, suggested that some human encounters go beyond logic and reach layers of the soul that are rarely accessed. He described this experience as the twin flame encounter. However, there is something most people rarely mention. Twin flame love is not a fairy tale. It is a transformative journey that unfolds through 7 specific stages, each bringing its own challenges, discoveries, and revelations. If you are experiencing or have experienced this type of connection, it is important to understand that it is not about finding someone who completes you. Rather, it is about awakening to who you truly are. In this exploration, I will guide you through the 7 stages of twin flame love, according to Carl Jung's perspective. By the end, you will understand why this journey can be both the most difficult and the most transformative experience a person may face. Because ultimately, the twin flame journey is not about the other person. It is about discovering yourself through the mirror that the other person becomes. Have you ever felt as if you knew someone even before being introduced to them? That moment when your eyes meet and something inside you recognizes something familiar in the other person, even though you are complete strangers. This is not simply romantic imagination. Jung referred to it as archetypal recognition. It represents the first stage of twin flame love, recognition. Recognition does not occur in the mind. It happens on a much deeper level, where the soul identifies a familiar frequency. It can feel as if 2 parts of the same whole have found each other after a long separation. However, this is where many misunderstand the experience. Recognition is not about finding your other half. It is about encountering someone who carries a similar archetypal intensity, someone who is also on the path of individuation. Jung believed that all human beings carry primordial images within the unconscious, known as archetypes. When twin flames meet, it is as if these archetypes awaken simultaneously in both individuals. You may feel as if you understand the person's thoughts, should recognize their deepest motivations, and share a form of communication that seems to go beyond words. At times, it can even feel almost telepathic. However, this recognition is often accompanied by an intensity that can feel overwhelming. The attraction is not purely physical or emotional. It feels deeper, almost like a pull at the level of the soul. It can seem as though something within you immediately says, "This is the person." And this realization can occur within seconds or minutes. Time becomes irrelevant. What matters is the powerful sense of certainty that suddenly appears within you. The challenge is that most people attempt to explain this experience logically. They may say it is love at first sight. Others might call it compatibility or destiny. But according to Jung's perspective, it is none of these. It is the collective unconscious expressing itself through 2 individuals who are ready to begin a profound journey of transformation. And this leads to the first important lesson. If you have experienced this kind of recognition, be prepared. What follows may challenge everything you thought you understood about love, about yourself, and even about life. Recognition is only the beginning. It is the invitation to a journey that can transform you in ways you cannot yet imagine. After recognition comes something that feels magical, but is actually a psychological mechanism well documented by Jung: projection. This is the second stage of twin flame love, and it is the stage where many people become completely lost. Ari, projection occurs when you begin to see in the other person everything you wish to become, but have not yet developed within yourself. It is as if the other person becomes a blank canvas onto which you project your ideals, your dreams, and your deepest aspirations. When you look at them, you see perfection. You see someone who seems to understand you completely, someone who would never hurt you, someone who appears to be exactly what you have always been searching for. But here is the truth many people struggle to accept. You are not falling in love with the person. You are falling in love with your own projection. Jung explained that projection is the process through which the unconscious reveals aspects of ourselves that still need to be integrated. When you admire certain qualities in your twin flame, you are often witnessing qualities within yourself that are waiting to be developed. During the projection stage, everything seems perfect. The connection feels powerful. The chemistry appears intense. It may even feel as though you and the other person are a single unit. You can talk for hours, share dreams, and imagine a future together. It may feel as though you have discovered paradise on earth. Many people think to themselves, "I have finally found the right person." However, projection has one fundamental problem. It cannot last forever. No idealized image can survive the reality of everyday life. When two people truly get to know each other, reality eventually challenges the fantasy. And that moment leads to the third stage, where many people begin to struggle because they cannot understand what is happening. What is also interesting is that during projection, the process works both ways. Just as you project your ideals onto the other person, they are also projecting their own qualities onto you. Qualities that actually belong to them, but that they have not yet recognized. In a sense, both people are participating in a mirror-like dance, where each one sees in the other what they must eventually discover within themselves. This stage may last weeks, months, or even years. Its duration often depends on the level of self-awareness each person has and their willingness to look beyond appearances. But one thing remains certain. Projection always ends, and when it does, it reveals one of the most intense and transformative realities a person can face. Suddenly, the illusion begins to break. So the person you once believed to be perfect starts to reveal flaws, imperfections, and behaviors that irritate or confuse you. The ideal partner you imagined begins to appear as an ordinary human being, someone with wounds, past experiences, personal shadows, and unresolved struggles. At that point, you may begin to ask yourself, how did I misunderstand this so completely? This is the third stage, disillusionment. Disillusionment is both the most painful and the most necessary phase of the twin flame journey. It is the moment when projections collapse, and you finally see the person in front of you as they truly are. And that reality can feel deeply unsettling. You may discover that they are not as emotionally developed as you once believed. You may notice behaviors that hurt you. You may realize that they do not always understand you in the way you once imagined. Jung explained that disillusionment is not only disappointment with the other person, it is also disappointment with yourself. When you feel disillusioned with someone, you are actually confronting the projections you created. You begin to recognize that you built a fantasy and lived inside that fantasy for some time. It is similar to waking up from a dream and suddenly realizing that the dream was never real. But this is where the most important understanding begins. Disillusionment is not the end. In many ways, it marks the beginning of real love. Only when you stop loving a projection can you begin to appreciate the real person. And only when you stop trying to live up to a projection can you begin to truly be yourself. During the stage of disillusionment, many twin flame couples separate. They believe they made a mistake, that they were never compatible, or that the love has simply ended. But in reality, what ended was the illusion. What begins at this point is the possibility of genuine love, a love that does not depend on fantasy. It is a form of love that accepts imperfection and recognizes the humanity of the other person. Disillusionment is also the moment when you begin to question your own motivations. You may realize that part of your attraction was connected to unresolved needs, emotional gaps, or a desire for validation. Admitting this can be painful, but it is also deeply freeing. At this stage, many people walk away because they struggle with the emotional intensity of what they are discovering. They often prefer to return to more superficial relationships where they are not forced to confront their own shadows. Yet those who choose to continue the journey discover that disillusionment can act as a gateway to something much deeper and more transformative. After disillusionment comes an even more demanding phase, the encounter with the shadow. This is the fourth stage of twin flame love, and it is where the journey becomes particularly intense. Jung described the shadow as the part of ourselves we tend to deny, the qualities and tendencies we do not want to recognize as part of our personality. The twin flame often serves a very specific role in this process. They become a mirror for your shadow. The traits you criticize most in them, the behaviors that irritate you the most, don't often reflect aspects of yourself that you have difficulty acknowledging. It can feel as though the universe has placed someone in your life to reveal exactly what needs healing within you. During the shadow stage, conflicts may become stronger. Arguments may arise over issues that appear small on the surface, but actually touch deep emotional wounds. Certain behaviors in the other person may trigger strong reactions in you, especially when those behaviors resemble traits you also carry, but prefer to ignore. In this sense, the relationship becomes a mirror reflecting everything you might rather avoid seeing. For example, if you become frustrated by the way your partner reacts under stress, it may be because you respond in similar ways, but find it difficult to admit. If you criticize their style of communication, it may be because you also struggle with communication challenges that you have not yet addressed. The shadow tends to reveal what we attempt to hide. Yet there is an important opportunity in this stage. When you begin to recognize and accept your shadow, something significant happens. Instead of focusing on judging the other person, you start working on transforming yourself. You realize that while you cannot control another person's behavior, you can change your own responses and attitudes. And when you change, the dynamics of the relationship often begin to change as well. Working with the shadow can be uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. It is similar to cleaning the house of your mind, removing what no longer serves you and bringing clarity to your inner life. In many ways, the twin flame helps facilitate this process by reflecting unresolved issues that require attention. Some people leave during the shadow stage because the level of self-awareness it demands feels overwhelming. Rather than examining themselves, they may blame the other person, label the relationship as toxic, or conclude that they are simply incompatible. But in many cases, what they are really avoiding is the opportunity to confront themselves. It is at this point that the twin flame experience reveals its deeper purpose. The journey is not about finding someone who completes you. Instead, it becomes a catalyst for becoming complete within yourself. After this intense work with the shadow, there often comes a moment when something inside you asks for distance. It may feel as if you need time and space to process everything that has been revealed and to integrate the lessons you have learned. This is the fifth stage, separation. Interestingly, this stage challenges many traditional ideas about relationships. Sometimes stepping away can be an act of respect and growth. In the context of the twin flame journey, separation does not necessarily mean the love has disappeared. It is not about incompatibility or searching for someone better. Instead, it reflects the understanding that each person needs space to work on their own development. Jung emphasized the importance of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. At times, this process requires distance from external influences, including the person you care about. It can feel like entering the quiet landscape of your own inner world in order to rediscover your true nature. During separation, many people feel anxious. They may fear they have lost the most important person in their life, or believe they made a mistake they cannot correct. However, separation is often a natural and necessary phase of the journey. It is the time when you learn to value yourself independently of the other person. You begin to build a sense of wholeness that does not depend on external validation. Separation can last for different lengths of time, days, months, or even years. There is no fixed schedule. The duration depends on how much inner work each person needs to complete. Interestingly, even during physical distance, many people feel that the connection itself does not completely disappear. It can feel as though an invisible thread continues to link both individuals, even when they are apart. This period also helps clarify an important question. Do you truly love the person, or were you simply attached to the intensity of the connection? During this stage, you begin to understand the difference between need and love. When you need someone, the feeling often comes from a place of lack. When you truly love someone, the feeling comes from a sense of inner abundance. Some people try to shorten the separation because they are uncomfortable being alone. However, those who allow themselves to fully experience this stage often discover something powerful. They discover that they are complete on their own. And when you feel complete, you are able to love another person freely, without attachment, control, or possessiveness. Separation also acts as a test of personal growth. If you are able to remain emotionally stable and maintain your inner peace without relying on the other person, it often means you are ready for the next stage. However, if you feel anxious, desperate, or constantly trying to control the situation, it may indicate that more personal work is still necessary. While the two individuals may be physically apart, something meaningful often begins to unfold internally. The entire experience with your twin flame starts to organize itself in your mind, almost like pieces of a puzzle gradually fitting together. This marks the sixth stage, integration. Integration is where true transformation begins to take form. It is the process of absorbing the lessons that emerged throughout the journey. Instead of viewing the experience as something that simply happened to you, you begin to see it as something that happened through you. You recognize that every challenge, every conflict, and every moment of disillusionment contributed to shaping who you have become. During integration, you start to understand that your twin flame was not just an important person who appeared in your life. They served as a catalyst that helped you reconnect with your deeper essence. They reflected both your strengths and your shadows, your potential as well as your wounds. Jung described individuation as the process of becoming whole through the integration of all aspects of personality. The twin flame journey often accelerates this process significantly. Experiences that might normally take decades to understand can unfold within just a few years. And during integration, you also begin to develop what Jung referred to as the transcendent function. This is the ability to hold opposites within yourself without conflict, To be both strong and vulnerable, confident and humble, independent while still capable of intimacy. You no longer feel the need to choose one identity over another. Instead, you recognize that you can embody multiple dimensions of yourself at the same time. One of the most meaningful aspects of integration is the shift in perspective regarding your twin flame. Instead of blaming them for painful moments, you begin to see that they played an important role in your growth. You may even feel a sense of gratitude for the entire experience, including the difficult parts. At this stage, you also recognize how much you have changed. You are no longer the same person you were when the journey began. You may feel more aware, more authentic, and more accepting of your own imperfections. In many ways, you become more fully human, while also feeling more connected to your deeper nature. Integration does not happen in a perfectly straight line. It tends to move in cycles, like waves, with each phase bringing a deeper layer of understanding. And when you eventually feel that most of the experience has been integrated, when you feel peaceful and complete within yourself, you may be ready for the final stage. After the long process of self-discovery, after facing your shadows and moving through individuation, something remarkable can sometimes occur. You may reunite with your twin flame. This is the 7th stage, reunion. However, it is important to understand that not every twin flame journey ends with a physical reunion, and that outcome is completely valid. Reunion occurs when two individuals who have both completed their process of personal growth meet again. This time, the connection is no longer based on projection, need, or emotional dependence. Instead, it is grounded in awareness, maturity, and inner fullness. It becomes a meeting between two whole individuals who choose to share their lives, not because they must, but because they genuinely wish to. In this stage, love takes on a different form. It is no longer the intense, possessive passion that often appears at the beginning of the journey. Instead, it becomes a mature, conscious, and free expression of love. It is a love that does not require drama to survive. It does not depend on jealousy, and it is not built on illusion or fantasy. Instead, it is a form of love that accepts the other person's humanity, acknowledges their imperfections, and respects their individuality. During the stage of reunion, conflicts may still appear, but they are handled differently. Rather than arguing in order to prove who is right, both individuals try to understand one another. Instead of attempting to change the other person, the focus shifts toward clearer and more honest communication. And when challenges arise, the instinct is no longer to escape from them, but to face them together. However, there is an important truth to remember. Reunion is not guaranteed, and it does not have to happen. In many cases, the twin flame journey is more about the transformation that occurs along the way than about the final outcome. What truly matters is the person you become during the experience, not whether you remain with that individual for the rest of your life. Some twin flames eventually reunite and form a lasting partnership. Others reconnect only to reach a conscious and respectful closure. And in some situations, they never meet again physically, yet the spiritual connection between them continues indefinitely. What determines whether a physical reunion takes place is not simply destiny or the strength of love. Many other elements play a role: divine timing, life circumstances, the personal choices of both individuals, and most importantly, each person's ability to sustain a conscious and mature relationship based on choice rather than emotional need. Reunion may also occur with someone entirely different. In some cases, the twin flame fulfilled their purpose as a catalyst for growth, and now you are ready for a balanced relationship with another partner. Sometimes you reconnect with someone from your past, but this time you approach the relationship with greater maturity and awareness. In other situations, you attract a completely new person who resonates with the transformed version of yourself. What truly matters is not who you ultimately end up with, but who you became throughout the journey. Because the most important reunion is the reunion with yourself. It is the integration of all aspects of your personality into a conscious, authentic, and loving identity. After moving through the 7 stages of twin flame love, you are no longer the same individual. You have experienced a deep transformation that reached the most profound levels of your inner life. And here is perhaps the most significant truth of all. Regardless of how your journey concluded, you gained something that no one can ever take away from you: a deeper understanding of yourself. Jung once suggested that the purpose of life is not simply happiness, but consciousness. The twin flame journey can become one of the most powerful paths toward developing that awareness. In many ways, it resembles years of psychological reflection, condensed into a much shorter period, experienced not only through thought, but through direct emotional and relational experience with another person. Many individuals spend their entire lives avoiding self-examination. They move from one superficial relationship to another, rarely looking inward or questioning their deeper patterns. But those who enter the twin flame journey often cannot avoid that confrontation. They are compelled to look at themselves honestly, to face their shadows, and to transform emotional wounds into insight and wisdom. One of the most meaningful aspects of this transformation is that it does not benefit only you. As you become more aware, more integrated, and more compassionate, the quality of all your relationships begins to change. Your presence can positively influence the people around you. In a sense, you become a guiding light for others who are still beginning their own process of awakening. This journey also teaches an essential truth about love. Real love is not about possession. It is about freedom. It is not about completing someone else. It is about complementing one another. And it is not about finding a perfect person, but about learning to love an imperfect person in a conscious and respectful way. If you are currently experiencing or have experienced a twin flame journey, consider that it may have entered your life for a meaningful reason. Not because you are superior to others, but because your inner world was ready for a deeper level of transformation. Even if the experience was difficult, even if the ending was not what you expected, you still evolved into a more aware version of yourself. Remember that the essence of the twin flame journey is not about discovering someone who completes you. It is about allowing the connection with another soul to awaken your own sense of wholeness. And it is about becoming so centered within yourself that you can love without dependency, relate without possessiveness, and connect without losing your individuality. The twin flame experience can be one of the most transformative journeys a person may encounter. Ultimately, it is a path that leads you back to yourself, to your most authentic and essential nature. And when you reach that place, you may realize something important. You were always complete, always enough, and always worthy of love. Twin flame love teaches that happiness does not require another person, yet you can choose to share your happiness with someone. It teaches that you do not need someone else to feel whole, but you may choose to enrich your completeness by sharing it with another individual. Perhaps this is the greatest lesson of all. True love is not simply about finding the right person, it is about becoming the right person. And when you become that person, you naturally attract healthier relationships, whether with your twin flame or with others who are capable of loving you in a conscious, mature, and liberating way. The twin flame journey can be seen as a gift offered to those willing to grow, to evolve, and to awaken. If this experience has appeared in your life, it can serve as a powerful opportunity for transformation. Allow it to teach you about love, about yourself, and about life itself. And remember, it does not matter which stage of the journey you are currently experiencing. Wherever you are right now may be exactly where you need to be. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the wisdom within your own soul. Because ultimately, this journey is about becoming the person you were meant to be. And that person is far more remarkable than you may currently imagine. If you have reached this point in the video and recognized at least one of these stages in your own life, share in the comments which stage you believe you are experiencing right now. It helps show that this message resonated with you and that something within you connected with this deeper language between souls. And if this content genuinely helped you understand your own experience, if it reminded you that you are not alone on this path, you can support this work by using the Thanks button below. Even a small gesture of support can make a meaningful difference. It helps this content continue to grow and reach others who may also be trying to understand this profound type of connection. Thank you for taking this journey of reflection and discovery. Until we meet again in the next video.